So many of you know, maybe many of you don't, but I am a little well known for my dessert recipe books. I had the Great Schmoogle dessert book, and then when the missing recipes turned up, Eureka, I found them, the no longer lost recipes. And for a long time, people were, when are you going to make something on camera? When are you going to make something on camera? Well, for all of you who've requested that, today's the day. I'll see you in the kitchen. So I am in my kitchen, and I have everything out and ready to go, and I'm going to show a new recipe actually. And this is something that I have done with a regular yellow cake mix, and no, actually I take that back. It was a sugar-free yellow cake mix because I have relatives that can't have sugar, and I was able to use a sugar-free yellow cake mix and make a carrot cake. And I got really excited. I used to love carrot cake before I started eating vegan and gluten-free. And it was doing that had me thinking, if I can get a hold of a really good gluten-free cake mix, I can prepare it vegan and do my carrot cake. So since I'm not advertising, let's just say I found a really good yellow cake mix, hopefully. And now, like I said, I've actually never used this brand, and we're just going to have to see how it works out. To make it vegan, it calls for 4 eggs. Now, whatever cake mix you use, you just follow the directions on the box. And again, I didn't mention this, but one of the things I was known for with the recipe books is coming up with inventive ways to just use ordinary box cake mixes for people who really don't like to bake from scratch. But what I have is a vegan egg replacer. And you mix it with water and it thickens up, and I've used this before with other mixes, with pancake mixes, and it's really turned out very well. So this is the equivalent for 4 eggs, and you got to mix it and hopefully get the lumps out, which isn't always easy, I have to admit that, because it starts clumping up really quickly. And this one is really thickening quickly. I'm going to add a little of the soy milk to help thin it out a little bit. The recipe does call for a cup of milk, and I'm using soy milk. You can use any milk or non-dairy milk that you so desire, as long as it's unsweetened. So we're going to add that, and it calls for a half a cup of oil. And we're just going to see how this works out together. I've done so many. Alright, and I'm going to add this egg substitute glob. And I'm gonna mix this together. Now I always use actually just a slotted spoon on cake mixes. And I am not really familiar. It smells good. I'm going to say that this actually smells like a vanilla cake. But it is really thick. And so what I think I am going to do is pop into my refrigerator and use a little bit more of the soy milk. This is just something that if you bake with a lot of mixes, you get a feel for what the batter is going to look like and what you need it to look like, especially if you're adding things. Like I said, I've never worked with this one. And I always just kind of cross my fingers and say, okay, we're going to go for it. And yes, I do. I get the arm workout. Okay. It's still a little too thick. So I'm going to say maybe because you're using the egg replacer, it doesn't end up as wet. And I'm going to actually separate some of the globs of egg replacer. Like I said, you can, if you're gluten-free and you don't need to be vegan, then that's great. Okay. Now what I have are basically the ingredients from carrot cake that I used to make back when I did scratch baking. And we've got 3 cups of grated carrots. And I actually can fold this in. Now if you don't like as much carrot in your carrot cake, again, that's personal preference. All right. You get that mixed in. And I have a half a cup of golden raisins. Now, I prefer the golden raisins. If you prefer the dark raisins, if you prefer currants, if you prefer no raisins, that's, again, up to you. That's what's fun about this, about any recipe. I get those folded in really nicely. And then this is personal preference. This is a small can of crushed pineapple. And that adds some really good flavor and moisture. And that's going to help spread the next ingredient around a little better, actually. Because I have 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Now again, you can use whatever spice blend you like. If you don't care for cinnamon and you want to use ginger, you want to use allspice or clove, that is entirely up to you. This is your cake. And I love that smell of cinnamon and nutmeg, and I need a better spatula. There we go. It just smells wonderful. I love the smell, like I said, of the cinnamon and the nutmeg combined. And I'm getting the pineapple and I'm getting the carrot. And the last thing I'm folding in is 1 cup of chopped toasted pecans. Now, my original recipe called for walnuts. Walnuts don't agree with me too much anymore. And I'm using pecans. It's another thing. You can use walnuts, you can use almonds, you can use no nuts. Again, this is, I'm going to fold those in. Actually, the sugar-free cake that I did ended up, I didn't put the pineapple because I know they didn't care for pineapple in theirs, but it was as close to giving them a holiday fruit cake as I could have imagined. And like I said, they really enjoyed it. So this is pretty full and thick, and you can kind of see got all those good things in there. And now we're on a creative preference, because I like to use the 10-inch tube pans. I just like that shape for a carrot cake. You can do a layer cake, you can do anything you like. And because I can have the flour in a typical baking spray, I just give it, and even though it's an olive oil based spray, you do not get that flavor in the cake. This is going to be a big cake. And it said, actually, in a pan this size, it's going to take about 48 minutes to cook. Now, that's an interesting thing, because what I have discovered with our oven is that whatever the range the box says, it always takes about 5 or 10 minutes longer. So, ready to go, and I will get it into the oven and see when it comes out. it's very dense. It actually looks a little bit more like a muffin, but it smells good. And I had managed to find a brand of cream cheese flavored frosting, and I opened that, and it does have a cream cheese smell, so we'll see what happens. Now, I did not frost the entire cake because I have people who would like some who don't care for cream cheese frosting, but I'm going to frost my piece. See how this goes. It actually is like putting cream cheese on a muffin. Well, what does they say in the smoke test? If this didn't work out, we're going to find out together. Not bad. I think the frosting is really, really sweet. I'm getting the pineapple, and I'm definitely getting the flavors, the things I put in there. So I'll call this a success. Well, that was a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you are interested in getting copies of either one of my recipe books, the link is in the description below. I'll see you next time, wherever.